this is Charlie Mato-Toyela with Blue Bear Flutes, and of course our website bluebearflutes.com. Today I'm giving you a tip on making flutes. So those of you who are interested in playing flutes, this video is honestly probably for you if you want to know about what it is you've been playing, but you know, it's a pretty quick little video, so if you want to watch it just to get an idea how it works, it actually has some scenarios where it could help you as well, so keep that in mind. But anyway, this is mainly a video for flute makers. It's about the flute making process, and flute players, like I say, you're going to learn something if you watch this, so please do, and let me know what you think about it. Anyway, I've been working on this river cane flute. As you know, I sometimes squeezy clamp the block on here. Those of you who've been watching me for a while know that that's how I do it, to make it quick for tuning purposes. We tune each one of our flutes individually. That's something that a lot of other flute makers don't necessarily do, and for a lot of reasons I do. In any case, I was tuning this one and I noticed that bottom note sounds a little off. I looked at it on my tuner and sure enough, the whole thing's a B flat, but this note here is flat. So I really just need to trim this off. If you want to follow me over to the bandsaw, I'm going to do that. I'll check it on my tuner, but like I say, it's more about what's really going on here that I need to cut this off. So let's go watch that. So you can see it's a B flat, the top note, and then the bottom note is a little flat. It's a flat B flat, but the other notes are pretty well in tune. That second from the top fingering might need to be a little bit bigger, but let me go ahead and trim the bottom off so I can true it up. If you notice, all the notes tend to be somewhere right around this area of the tuner because it is 88 degrees out here. I've done tuning videos on temperature and what have you. Let me trim just a little bit more off. I can't believe it. I cut that much, too much off, just trying to get it in tune. Let's see. That bottom note don't sound right. Let me lean against the table and see if I can make it go flat. Oh, that sounds better. Okay, so if I partially cover the hole up on the bottom, that'll make it go flatter. I've got an extra piece of river cane. Oh, it fits inside. Let me go cut a piece of it. So let's push this in here and see what happens. Wow, the whole flute went flat. Now, how about if I cut this piece in half? That's dangerous. I don't want to let you see me doing that. I'm going to use some pliers, but don't watch me. Now I've got two pieces that were once a little longer. I wonder what will happen if I put this one in there. That is incredibly close, and this thing's even got some sawdust built up in it, so I bet it will play better after I take that out. Oh, that's perfect. I've got to glue this guy in, and that's what this video is about. Forever ago, we made mistakes in tuning, and as I have told so many people, mostly over the phone or in person more than in videos, finding ways to solve your mistakes and make them work for you is really the key to making good flutes. Now, We have a flute that's just slightly shorter. It's got a plug in it, and the plug is only about this big, and it is actually in tune. And what I'll go do next is just sand this bottom off so it's nice and smooth. I've got to wait till the glue dries. But this piece of river cane, which I accidentally cut too short, is now back in tune. Something you might want to know, flute players out there, by the way, if you take something small like a business card and roll it up, you can actually put it inside of your flute and reduce the intonation of your flute by a couple of hertz. So that's important to know. If you take 2 business cards, so basically the way this works is the further in the flute the plug is, and the thicker and more of a restriction that it gives, the lower the tone. So you may be able to take a business card, for example, as I said, roll it up and change something from being 440 to 432. In order to confirm that, you'll have to look at a tuner to make sure it's right. I wasn't really concerned about making sure this flute was tuned properly, and I wasn't really concerned about it being in the key of B flat. I was just primarily interested in making a flute that I could use for this demonstration, and whether it had been a B or an A or anything of the sort, that's what we got to on this particular flute, is a B flat, which is now perfectly in tune. So FYI, there are things you can do if something happens that your flute is out of tune, or if it's flat. You notice if it was flat already, I cut some off and that made it sharp. Of course, you know, I cover this in a lot of other videos. If the hole is too small and it needs to be larger, enlarge it. You know, that's the reason we use burning tools, because they work real well for enlarging something, a hole inside of a flute, that is. But in any case, you know, there's of course another reason why my fingerings go from large to small, but that's not something we're talking about today. Long story short, you can make those more flat by filling them in and drilling them out with something smaller, or you can make them more sharp by using a tool and making the hole itself larger. So there's a realm within which you can do this. In other words, if I had cut the flute off right here, it wouldn't have probably played well had I put a restriction in there that only had that small of an opening. So there's some things to consider there, but within the wiggle room, you know, I could have cut it off up to here, and as long as I had that much room left, probably could have made this happen. And of course the fingerings, once again, you know, if this hole here is too sharp, I can fill it in with some glue and sawdust and burn it back out, drill it back out. Of course, I don't recommend smelling any of this and making sure that you have plenty of ventilation. What you probably don't hear or know is that I've got lots of fans blowing on me right now. You can tell by how cool I feel. But normally we have a lot of fans going on, and there is one behind me that is enough to keep any amount of vapors off. But not being inside of a closed building also really helps, which is why you hear my neighbor operating one of his tractors a moment ago. So there's a lot of things that go into making a flute, making a good flute, and making a good flute even better. So I've discussed a lot of those. And as far as the track goes, any of you that are just now seeing my videos for the first time, I've got so many videos about this little section right here and how to make it better. You just have to scroll through my past videos. I have playlists of it, but honestly, there's so many times I've covered it and other things that, you know, there's a lot you can learn from just that one part of the flute. In any case, I hope this helps you out. I hope you enjoyed watching me mess up and see what it is that can be done with a flute that may be a little bit too short, or material that maybe you have that's a little too short, or if you have a flute that's a little too sharp on the bottom note but the rest of the notes are in tune, here's a solution for you. So I hope this video has helped all of you, flute players and flute makers alike, and people that are interested in listening to flute music. I've always tried to make room for you as well, because I realize it's not just flute players and flute makers who watch my videos. If you haven't seen them, make sure you check out my Instagram channel. I have so many videos of me playing the flute, and TikTok if you're not opposed to it, for being whatever it is that we're all calling it today. But TikTok is a place that I can use as an outlet to play my music. I've actually had at least one video on how to make flute videos on TikTok, which has inspired a handful of my own followers to do theirs, and I'm so happy for them. And of course there are others who have been doing it for a while as well, not to mention, I'm not saying I started this whole thing, but I do hope that you have an opportunity to go to Instagram.com/BlueBearFlutes or TikTok.com/@BlueBearFlutes, and of course here on YouTube it's YouTube.com/BlueBearFlutes, not that I need to tell you that. And don't forget our website, which is BlueBearFlutes.com. Have I said it enough this video? BlueBearFlutes.com? Yes, I have. BlueBearFlutes.com. Anyway, this is Charlie Mato-Toyela signing out, hoping to see you again very soon. Take care.